got so much fucking design on right now. Fairytale, bring it back, make it come, bring it down, hold back, still walk, bitches on the line, and you know.
Broken hearts, why Junho and Yoona stopped following each other online. What if I told you that the love story fans thought would last forever didn't end with a fight, or a scandal, or even a statement, but with a single click? A quiet, almost invisible action that shattered millions of hearts across the world. Because when Junho and Yoona, the golden pair of King the Land, the couple who redefined modern K-drama romance, stopped following each other online, it wasn't just about social media. It was about something deeper. Something that had been breaking for a long, long time. This is the hidden story of two stars who made us believe in love, and the moment the fairy tale fell apart. Hold on tight, K-drama family. The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. It all began with a whisper. Late one night, fans noticed something strange. On Instagram, where Junho once liked nearly every post Yoona made, his name was suddenly gone. Moments later, eagle-eyed fans checked her page. She wasn't following him either. No post. No explanation. Just silence. Within hours, hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag Junho and Yoona unfollow each other. Hashtag what happened to King the Land couple. Because this wasn't just any duo, this was them. The chemistry that lit up screens. The behind-the-scenes laughter that felt unscripted. The quiet moments, the glances, the touches, that convinced millions they were something more. So what happened? Why would two people who seemed inseparable suddenly draw a digital line between them? To understand the heartbreak, you have to go back to where it all began. King the Land, a romantic comedy that swept across Asia like wildfire. On screen, Junho played the cold air with a hidden heart, Yoona, the bright, optimistic hotelier who melted it. But off-screen, something else was happening. The laughter, the teasing, the stolen glances during interviews, it all looked too natural. Too effortless. Fans began to whisper, this isn't just acting. Even industry insiders hinted at something real. A stylist once confessed, the way they looked at each other when the cameras weren't rolling, it was different. You could feel the warmth. And for a while, it seemed perfect. After the drama ended, they appeared together at fan events, smiled for cameras, exchanged gifts. Junho once said during a press junket, Yoona makes everything brighter. And Yoona, blushing, caught off guard, replied, he always makes me feel calm. The internet went wild. Every moment became evidence. Every look, every smile, every like, another clue that love had quietly bloomed behind the lens. But fame has its price. As the months passed, the fairy tale began to show cracks. They were both rising higher than ever, endorsements, fan meetings, schedules stretching across continents. And with every success came more pressure, more scrutiny, more noise. Behind the glitz, insiders spoke of distance. That their communication had grown rare. That every appearance felt more formal. That the private messages stopped coming as often as they once did. And then, the rumors. Anonymous reports claiming Junho's agency had warned him to protect his image as he prepared for a major film role. Others whispered that Yoona's team had requested professional boundaries to avoid fan wars and brand conflicts. Neither confirmed. Neither denied. But the silence spoke volumes. By early 2025, fans began to notice subtle changes. They no longer interacted online. No birthday wishes. No behind-the-scenes tags. And the warmth in their interviews, once undeniable, was gone. When asked about each other in separate appearances, both gave the same kind of polished, professional answers that sounded more like rehearsed courtesy than genuine fondness. Still, fans hoped. Maybe it was just timing. Maybe they were protecting something private. Maybe, just maybe, it was still love, just hidden away from the cameras. But then, came the unfollow. To outsiders, it looked trivial. But to those who had followed their journey, the unfollow wasn't just an action. It was a message. Because in the world of celebrity, nothing online happens by accident. When two people who once seemed inseparable choose to disconnect, especially publicly, it means something final. According to one insider from the entertainment circle, there was no fight, no dramatic breakup. It was quieter than that. It was two people realizing that holding on hurt more than letting go. They had, in the end, grown apart. Different schedules. Different directions. Different dreams. But perhaps most painful of all, different ways of remembering what they once shared. Still, even now, traces of that old bond linger, like ghost lights flickering in the corners of memory. In a recent interview, Junho was asked if he believed in love that happens unexpectedly. He smiled faintly and said, "Sometimes love finds you when you least expect it, and sometimes it leaves the same way." Weeks later, Yoona posted a photo of a sunset with the caption, "Some chapters end quietly, but they still change you forever." Different words. Same story. And fans knew, without needing a single confirmation, that those words were connected. So, why did Junho and Yoona stop following each other online? Because some goodbyes don't need to be spoken. Because when love ends softly, you don't slam the door, you simply close it, gently, and walk away. Their story wasn't a scandal. It wasn't betrayal. It was two people caught between real emotion and impossible expectations, two hearts learning that sometimes, love can survive everything except the spotlight. And maybe, that's what makes their story so achingly human. Because at the end of it all, beneath the fame, the applause, the millions of fans, were just two people who once made each other smile, and now, have to learn how to live without that light. It began on a cold, glittering night in Seoul. The 2025 Seoul Entertainment Awards, a celebration of the brightest stars in Korean film and television. Yoona arrived first. Elegant. Composed. Radiant in an ivory gown that shimmered under the flashes of cameras. The media swarmed her, calling her name again and again. But she smiled softly, answering only what she needed to, her eyes calm, unreadable. Behind that calm, though, there was a trace of something else. A flicker of nervousness. Because she knew who would be walking through those same doors just moments later. And then, he appeared. Junho. In a tailored black suit that cut through the noise of the crowd like silence in a storm. His expression was steady, his movements measured, but when his eyes met the flashing lights, there was a brief hesitation. He had seen her. For the first time in months, they were in the same place again, two stars whose names had once been inseparable, now standing oceans apart on the same red carpet. The air inside the hall was electric. Everyone felt it, that invisible tension between two people who shared something the world once adored. When Yoona walked onto the stage to present an award, the camera panned to the audience. Junho looked up, clapping, polite, composed, but his gaze lingered a fraction longer than necessary. And in that moment, it was as if time folded in on itself. As if all the laughter, the rehearsals, the long nights on set, came rushing back. To the fans watching at home, it was a spark. A silent story told through the space between applause and memory. After the ceremony, both of them attended the private after-party, a quiet event tucked away from the chaos of the media. And that's where the whispers began again. An anonymous source, someone close to the production team, later revealed that the two met privately for the first time since their fallout. It wasn't planned. It wasn't dramatic. Just fate, crossing paths. Yoona was sitting near the corner of the dimly lit lounge, talking with friends. Junho entered later, escorted by his manager, his expression neutral, until he noticed her. The witnesses said he froze. Not out of discomfort, but memory. She looked up. Their eyes met. And for a long, quiet moment, neither of them looked away. No words. No smiles. Just silence, heavy with everything they hadn't said. Later that night, after most of the guests had left, someone spotted them outside, by the glass doors overlooking Seoul's night skyline. The lights of the city shimmered beneath them, a mirror of everything they'd once shared. Yoona spoke first. Her voice, quiet. Steady. I didn't think we'd see each other here. He nodded. Neither did I. There was a pause, long, aching, filled with the kind of stillness that only exists between people who once meant everything to each other. Then Juno sighed. I never wanted it to end like that. Yoona's eyes softened, but she didn't speak. She looked out over the city, the same skyline that had once watched over their countless rehearsals and endless laughter. It had to, she finally whispered. We were becoming strangers in front of everyone. I didn't want them to see that. Juno turned, studying her face, that same calm, luminous strength that had once drawn him in. I thought cutting ties would make it easier, he said. But it didn't. Her eyes met his again. It never does. And for a brief moment, under the glow of the soul night, it felt as though the distance between them faded. But only for a moment.